It's the taboo subject you're not supposed to talk about, yet everyone seems to be talking about it.
And you know, I still yet believe that somebody, somewhere, is going to yet try and do something to him.
Yes, I do feel that it's going to be a tax on his life, but with God, God can protect his life.
On the streets of Memphis, Tennessee, a sense of post-election jubilation among the black community is being tempered by a growing concern: the safety of America's new president.
Because they're going to attempt to do that, probably take his life.
Because there are some evil people out there with some evil thoughts.
A few blocks from here, Daniel Cowart and Paul Schlesselman were arraigned in a federal court in November for talking about a plot to shoot 102 black students and then fire weapons at Barack Obama from a car. A month prior to the duo's arrest, 3 other men were arrested in Denver during the Democratic National Convention for alleged plot to kill Obama. Suspects in both cases had links to white supremacist groups and ideology. And Obama isn't even president yet. The streets of Memphis are still haunted by arguably the most devastating racially motivated assassination in American history. On April 4th, 1968, Martin Luther King was shot on the balcony of the Lorraine Hotel.
Well, you said you were here a week before?
Well, right here in town when he got killed too, sir.
Do you think that there's still white people in this country who can't accept a black president?
I know that.
How do you know?
It's not a question of will this or that happen. You know it will.
At the Anti-Defamation League, or ADL, in New York, Marilyn Mayo runs the Center on Extremism and the Racist Skinhead Project. When Schlesselman and Cowart were arrested on weapons charges near Memphis, Mayo and her team alerted law enforcement officers to the duo's racist skinhead backgrounds and the seriousness of the threat against Obama.
I think that we are definitely going to see a lot more white supremacist activity, and we're already seeing it. We're already seeing groups talking about, more recruitment, that people are looking into their groups more, where you have 2 situations going on right now. You have the economic crisis, and you have the election of Obama as president. And with those 2 events happening, you have people who are feeling they need, to take action, they need people to blame.
Right now we're on our way to the Euro Conference, which is sponsored by Stormfront.org, which is the largest white nationalist forum on the internet. So it's a secret location. You had to call on the phone to find out where it is.
A lecture from hell. You don't have to go to horror movies anymore. We had a choice between a man who's Mr. Amnesty, a man who betrayed our people, who supports every kind of anti-white discriminatory program, and is totally subservient to Israel and John McCain, or we have black radical Barack Obama. People say race didn't play a role. He couldn't even got the Democratic nomination, except for the fact that he was black. Think about that.
Stormfront.org is one of the largest online forums of white supremacists in the world. The ADL monitors its pages regularly. Stormfront founder Don Black and white nationalist icon David Duke held a conference for European Americans in, of all places, Memphis, to discuss new strategies in the age of Obama.
But the system that runs this country, only lets the most corrupt to the presidency.
How will Mr. Obama's presidency affect your movement? Do you think it'll be positive, negative? Do you think more people...
Well, I think it affects the country. I think it's a negative way. I think we didn't like McCain either. But I think overwhelmingly the effect will be extremely positive because there's no question in my mind. And we've already had 5 times the traffic that we've ever had. I mean, it's just overwhelming. Our servers can't even hardly keep up with it. I'm getting thousands of positive emails. People are finally saying, what we talked about, I wouldn't have dreamed of happening for years. It's happened now, and I see your point. We're losing our country.
When we spoke to Mr. Duke, he said he condemned the behavior of Cowart and Schlesselman, but added that he regularly speaks to skinheads and his literature was circulated widely.
Validate their ideology. We'll listen to those people and think that gives them a signal to act.
Take this provocative magazine cover, printed by one of the largest neo-Nazi groups in the U.S., weeks before the election. A&P called the publisher of the National Socialist magazine white supremacist Bill White. He said his was a deliberate sensationalist attempt to sell magazines, not to incite violence. But despite what his article says, it begs this question: what is the effect of this cover on the thousands of people who subscribe to this magazine? The ADL says white nationalists, neo-Nazi, and racist skinhead groups have resurged since 2002. They keep their eye on the National Socialist Movement, Volksfront, and the Hammerskins, all resurgent hate groups with recent history of assault and homicide against citizens and police officers. Of greatest concern to the ADL, the movement is a headless beast.
The resurgence now seems to be sort of a leaderless resurgence. We're in this period of uncertainty, and that's why we're concerned that with what we refer to as a perfect storm between Obama's election and the economic crisis, that these two factors are going to coalesce, and it's the point where those who are fueled by hate ideology and are looking for scapegoats will have a propensity to act out.
Many we talked to for this report said today's violent hate groups are analogous to Al-Qaeda. Each movement has one or two figurative leaders, but decisions to commit violent acts don't necessarily come from the top down. Decentralized cells often act independently in the name of the wider movement.
Yeah, we believe that Web 2.0, the social networking site, is the next problematic trend in terms of the growth of the white extremist movement. Individuals with a similar ideology are able to grow the movement in the sense that they're communicating with each other in ways they would never have been able to before. If you had someone isolated in some town, that didn't have much going on, now that person can talk to 20 other people who feel the same way.
Cowart and Schlesselman met on the internet. They didn't share the same geography, nor the same group affiliations, but they did share the same worldview. It's a worldview shared by hundreds across the pages of Stormfront, a worldview articulated in the Turner Diaries, the so-called Bible of white supremacists. This worldview suggests a single act of violence will hasten a great race war in which whites emerge victorious, after finally purging all non-whites from American society. It is this worldview, and those who believe it, that the Secret Service must now take into account.
Yeah, the leaders of the race war in the country now, we're beyond that. Do I believe that there are those who would like to see it either individually or in small groups act out? Yes.